I'm not sure this is a good idea. I've been brewing every week and I'm always looking at ways to shorten my brew day, and well, I just sort of had this thought, and that was, would it be possible to complete a brew day in 1 hour? From putting water in my kettle here all the way through to putting the beer in my fermentation chamber. And if that was possible, well, would the beer be any good? You know what? Let's find out. So here we go. I have got an iPad here with a timer to keep me honest. The first task is to get 3.7 gallons of water into this kettle. I'm brewing a 2.5 gallon batch, and get it heated up to mash temperature. So let's start the timer and go for it. All right, so I've got a water filter here, and I am going to get some water in here. Now one thing that I'm doing here is I'm using the hot water tap, which I don't normally do. I don't really want to use water that's been sat in my heating tank normally, but this will save me a good amount of time to get up to mash temperature by using warm water to start with. Now the heating element is submerged with water, so I've turned it on, and I'm going to get this to about 160 degrees. Mash temperature today is intended to be 152 Fahrenheit, and you can see this is really climbing. I'm at just approaching 130 already. I'm just going to give it another minute and then put the grains in, which are right here. Haven't mentioned what beer I'm brewing yet, but this is a British bitter. Just over 5 minutes gone, and I'm just approaching mash temperature now. I am going to just cut this off and get the mash going right now. Now I've tried to give myself a fighting chance of pulling this off, and I've got a couple of things that really work to my advantage. First of all, I'm only brewing a 2.5 gallon batch. Normally I would brew 5 gallon batches quite frequently. 2.5 gallons just means there's less water overall. That takes less time then to bring up to mash temperature and to boil, and it also means it'll take a little bit less time to cool down as well. These are all super important things today. The other thing that works in my advantage is this claw hammer supply system has a 240 volt heating element. So it's able to move the temperature up really, really quickly, which again is very important to me. So yeah, this is going to be a British best bitter. In terms of original gravity, well, I don't really know what sort of gravity I'm going to get and what sort of efficiency I'm going to get with this 20-minute boil, but I'm aiming for an original gravity of 1045-ish for a sort of a 4% beer. Now in terms of ingredients for this beer, I have 68% Maris Otter as my main base malt, and then 18% American two-row. Then I have 9% Victory Malt, just to add a little bit more biscuit character to the beer, and 7% of caramel or crystal 80. And then finally, I've got 2% of pale chocolate malt, which I really like in my best bitters. Now I'm just going to do a really quick mash out where I'm going to bring this mash temperature up to 168 Fahrenheit just for a couple of minutes. Let's get that going now. All right, that's it for the mash. I'm going to take the grains out now and start the boil. And we are boiling. So I've got 30 minutes in right now. I'm going to add my first hop addition, which is Fuggle hops. I have 1 ounce of that. In with the second hop addition. That is with 10 minutes left in the boil to go. I have added ½ ounce of EKG, East Kent Golding hops. I'm looking for this beer to come out with an IBU of about 28. Now, one of the challenges of this, of course, is to get this stuff cool quick. So I'm going to use my plate chiller from Clawhammer Supply to do that. And with, about 2 minutes left in the boil now, what I'm going to do is just start recirculating the hot water through the plate chiller to sanitize it. Right, that's it. That's been my 20-minute boil. Let's turn it off. Turn off that heat and get some cold water running. And now we have the race against time for this to be cool enough for me to add my yeast. Speaking of the yeast that I'm using, well, I have 1728. This is Scottish ale yeast. I've cooled it to 75 degrees. It's slightly warmer than I'd like, but it's not bad. In with the yeast. Beer goes in the fermentation chamber where it will sit at 68 Fahrenheit. And that is a 1 hour brew day. Now the beer came in with an original gravity here of 1040, which means I got about 50% efficiency in that super short mash. But the question is, how's it going to turn out? So, I've made beer. This actually has made beer. Lauren's here with me to try this one. So Lauren, this is a 60-minute beer. It was made entirely in 60 minutes, from filling the kettle with water through to putting it in a fermenter. Okay. It's been about 2 weeks since brew day now, and we're ready to give this a taste. Now, the first thing to say is the beer fully attenuated, which I wasn't sure it was going to do with such a short mash. It came down to 1008, so 4-point-something% beer. So that's a good start. Now let's see what you actually think of the beer. So first of all, I should tell you what the beer style is, because you might not know that. This is a best bitter. Okay. So we've had these before. Let's see what you think about the colour for this one.
Alright, it's quite light, kind of caramelly coloured.
Yeah. And these beers generally don't have an awful lot of aroma. Yeah. We may just get something off the aroma hop that was added, but not really getting
not too much that jumps out at me.
No.
I think I need to try it.
Well, let's do it. Let's try this beer. I have to say, I am very pleased with how this has turned out.
Yeah, it's pretty pleasant.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the characteristics I look for in a best bitter, and I've brewed quite a few of these, but this one, it's got that kind of malty sweetness, very smooth taste to it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a really nice little taste at the back of this as well, a very sort of smooth finish to this beer, which honestly would make me think that it's been brewed with a lot of care, attention and time, which it wasn't. Yeah,
it definitely has the style taste to it for sure. I mean, I wouldn't know that it only took 60 minutes to do it all.
I think this is an experiment that has actually turned out to be quite successful, and I'm going to quite enjoy finishing off this keg.
For sure. You gotta beat me to it.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.